exactly.
Okay, well, it says like we are live.
How exciting.
I think we are live, yeah?
Are we live?
I think so. So we need to be careful what we say. I mean, as if we ever are. But so hello everyone, if anyone is watching. And so welcome to another episode of the Adventure Games podcast. I am with my two good friends, Thomas and Laura. So hello guys, how are you both doing?
Jolly good. And you, Thomas, you're doing okay, well.
I'm still alive.
That's good. That's always good. And before we get into it, Laura, you were in Turin, I believe, just a couple of weeks ago.
That's right, for Eurovision. What else? My other love.
Oh, and yes. You had a good time. You had a good time.
Yeah, it was really nice to just go abroad, and Italy is always good fun, so that was nice.
Absolutely, to a live event.
Yeah,
to enjoy.
Yeah, really nice.
I find it's too political, though, isn't it? That's what you've been saying. That's what you. Well, very briefly, if anybody wanted to hear a podcast about, say, the Eurovision, where you might have special guests from the Eurovision, people who perform at the Eurovision, where could they? Do you know of any other podcast?
Yeah, there is a podcast that myself and my friend Martin do called Nulpoint, Nulpoints. So if you happen to also like adventure games and Eurovision,
two specific niches there, yes. But so Nulpoint, not Nulpoint, which is not what the UK got this year.
No, woohoo!
So well done to UK, well done to Ukraine as well, and everyone who got through to the final, which Ireland was not part of, but I think I can go on your podcast to rant for 2 hours about that.
Yes,
so,
you definitely can.
So anyway, let's talk about adventure games, shall we? What has been happening? Well, let's start with the news. There's been a bit of news. And by the way, we are also live. We are doing video as well as audio. And we're going to try to play some trailers. We will see how that works. Because there's been some new trailers that have been released. And one of those new trailers is a new Simon the Sorcerer Origins. So I am going to try to play the trailer. We will see how this goes. No promises. But yeah, so
we can act it out otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. We can. Well, there's no voice acting on this, so if you are listening to this, you listen to some very nice music. But if you're watching, then please enjoy this trailer, which will hopefully come up in just a second. So please enjoy.
Years later. It's been that long.
Yes.
Feels like it's 10 years ago.
Simon the Sorcerer Origins. What a name.
Certainly looks more.
You go.
Nice.
So it's available on PS5. Well, not yet, but it's going to be available on PS5, PS4, Xbox, Nintendo. 2023.
Oh, 2023. That was a shock at the end there.
Whoa. So we're getting a prequel, technically.
So that was the trailer, and with some narration from us, well, so Tomas and Laura, for those listening on audio. Did you guys, by the way, hello in the chat, Amy Tant and Radio Silence Studios. By the way, if anybody wants to check out an interview I did with Radio Silence Studios, I would really recommend it. The game looks incredible, the adventures of Brian Scott, but also reunites Rolf Saxon with Hazel Ellerby, who were the original voices in the English version of the first Broken Sword game.
Oh, cool.
So he talks all about that. Amy Tant said that she loved Simon the Sorcerer 1 and 2. The announcement did not impress her, she said, very much personally, that it doesn't exude Simon the Sorcerer for her. Hello, Kieran, as well. Hey, Kieran. What do you guys think? Did you guys play Simon the Sorcerer, the previous Simon the Sorcerer games yourselves? Or
I think I played the first one around the time that it was published. So a long time ago. I haven't revisited it yet. As we said, I mean, it is 30 years ago, but it doesn't feel like it was 30 years ago. But yeah, with 2022, we're now.
Oh,
it's
astonishing. Have you played any of the Simon the Sorcerer games, Laura?
No,
you.
I was, so basically kind of all the retro games I played were sort of LucasArts stuff, and I didn't really go to other stuff, but I don't know. I know enough about it, and I know other people were saying this, that I kind of wondered, did we need a prequel to this?
That's the interesting thing. It's a prequel, but I played the first two games years ago, not quite as long as Thomas when you played it, but I played the first two Simon the Sorcerer games as a teenager, when I was first playing adventure games, and I was under the impression that this was the very first time that he went to the world, that he encountered any magic at all. So it's curious. Now, the developer, Small Thing Studios, has said that this is going to be canon. That's going to be part of the games. So it'd be interesting. Now, I might say something a bit controversial. I am not a huge fan of the first two games. Now, I think as adventure games, they're good and they look really good, some beautiful pixel art. But the problem for me was that I wasn't a huge fan of Simon the Sorcerer himself, the character. Now, I know he's intentionally supposed to be annoying and a teenager, but I think they went too far that direction. That I didn't, personally, I found him hateful, and I wanted the character to die. And so any game that wants me to make a character die, and if that character is a child as well, then I mean, not in real life, just in the game, I need to stress. But anyway, this isn't about me. I'm still interested, and I know that the first two games in particular have a very loyal following.
There were quite a few adventure games around that time that revolved around being a sorcerer. I remember like Legend of Karamia, and Sorcerers Get All the Girls was a franchise that was popular.
I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, it's more. I think those were more text adventures, and they were a bit cheeky. Like a bit like Porkies for adventure gamers. But yeah, it's been such a long time ago that I played all that stuff. So, I thought it looked nice.
I think it looked very nice. I mean,
I'm wondering how many Harry Potter jokes are going to be in their references.
If they update the replicas, of course, the game has a lot of pop culture references. Well, all the games do. Now there's also Simon the Sorcerer 3D, which I started playing but I could not get through, and then there's Simon the Sorcerer 4 and 5, which I don't think got great reviews, but look, we shall see. I mean, I'm always curious, and at least give this company a chance, and even if I don't play this game myself, which I might, but I hope it's good, and I hope that fans of Simon the Sorcerer games will get to enjoy it. So that is Simon the Sorcerer Origins, and that will be released. So even though I'm not a big fan of it, I won't give abuse to anybody who are fans of it, who might disagree with me, because I don't consider myself a whiny loser boy. Hey, speaking of whiny loser boys,
oh god,
do you remember last month?
His bridges are getting quite impressive nowadays.
Really is.
Yeah, he worked on it.
So seamless, right? Speaking of whiny loser boys,
remember
And girls, although in this case,
segue.
I think from what I've seen, it is mainly boys who officially I think are adults, but they haven't really matured based on their comments online.
Right.
Remember we discussed Monkey Island? Yay! Ron Gilbert is coming back with Return to Monkey Island. Yay! Well, they released a new screenshot. We discussed last month how a minority of people did not even, just weren't happy, and some of those have unfortunately been a bit abusive and just not very nice to people, including Ron Gilbert and the team himself. Well, Ron Gilbert fights back with some insult sword fighting of his own. I'm not going to read out the whole blog post. He had a blog post. Briefly, what he said was he explained why it's not pixel art. He didn't want the game to be considered retro. He explained why they went for that graphical style, that he wanted it to be provocative and shocking, to which I say mission accomplished. But he went into more details. He also said at the end that, interestingly, that Disney are not giving him any problems at all. They're allowing him to make the Monkey Island game that he wants to make, but it's some Monkey Island fans who are not wanting him to make the Monkey Island game that he wants to make, which makes him sad. So very briefly, because I know this is probably the second most tedious news item of the month, or probably
keeps going.
Most. What do you guys think? Should Ron Gilbert have thrown a big whoop about this, or should he have ignored him?
You really prepared his jokes this time, Laura.
Bless him.
Wow.
This is I'm doing it immediately. I haven't prepared like the last few weeks.
Okay, maybe you should prepare less in that case, Seoirse, because it seems to be working for you. Obviously he should. Of course, if it's his game, if he wants to, he could say what he likes about it, and he should, he should get annoyed at, it's up to him. I think like he should be allowed to do what he wants, and if he wants to say to people, "Shut up, it's my game," then he should be allowed to say that.
And I agree with him if he says that.
Yeah.
I want him to make the game that he wants to make, and it seems that fandoms are becoming more and more their own biggest enemy. I mean, you see it in the pop culture everywhere. People seem to think that they have some kind of ownership over games or over movies or TV shows or whatever. No, if it's your thing, then you can do whatever you want. This is his thing, and I'll be happy as hell to be able to play the finished product. And if I don't like it, then I will have genuine reasons not to, I assume. And if I love it, I will also have genuine reasons for it. So
yeah. Basically, I agree with the two of you that I think he and every other developer should be allowed to make the games that they want to make. We have our own opinions, and I'm sure we have our own taste in games, what we want them, which we'll be discussing, I'm sure.
You know what you get if you listen too much to the fans, and you get Rise of Skywalker. That's what you get.
Exactly. I mean, Star Wars has its own loser whiner boys, and Rise of Skywalker tried to satisfy people who were not happy. Now, people who are not happy with The Last Jedi have genuine reasons as well, but there were some people who were abusive. Rise of Skywalker tried to satisfy those people. It ended up satisfying nobody. So, not very many people. And we see that with Game of Thrones as well. And, we can be critical, but I think just to remember that not to be self-entitled, that, to be respectful. And I think that's the key here. No, we're not saying don't be critical. If we don't like something, of course, I think we should give constructive criticism and feedback. But also understand that maybe it's just not for us. Maybe it's, and also just to wait. I mean, it's just 4 screenshots and a teaser trailer. Yeah. We haven't seen any real gameplay footage. We haven't seen Guybrush. And if we don't like it, it's not the end of the world. It's, but yeah, so also interestingly, Ron Gilbert seems to have revealed the secret of Monkey Island. He mentioned that his idea was that Guybrush and LeChuck would be running around in hell and Stan would be there, and that's it. And then he said the game would probably have changed. But that
told you that?
Yeah. Now that's has happened, I believe, in Tales of Monkey Island, or a version of that. So he said that's not going to happen now. But everyone's saying, oh, what is the secret of Monkey Island? I've always suspected that Ron Gilbert didn't himself know. And this is not a criticism, because a lot of writers basically kind of make
no
up as
clue
they
where they're
go along.
going. Yeah, exactly.
Like Stephen King famously does this.
He's also famous for not having good endings. So
I mean, that is true. Yeah, I mean, yeah. but yeah, and nobody talking about that, which I find interesting. But anyway, hopefully it's the last time we'll talk about what entitled fans think, and we can talk about Return to Monkey Island when we get actual news about it. So, and yes. the last game we're going to talk about in news section is a game called Stray. This is a game where you play as a cat. Now, not as an animal detective, which are a lot of them. You play as an actual cat on 4 legs and 4 paws, walking around this cyberpunk world. And it is seemingly going to be launched in the summer. And Thomas, you said that you've been following this for the last 2 years since it was announced.
Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago on a PlayStation showcase.
It's been around for quite a while now. Yeah,
because this one immediately attracted my attention. 2 reasons: cyberpunk. Two reasons: cyberpunk and cats. So, it's a very, as far as I know, a unique concept to be actually playing a cat walking around in a world. There's probably a game somewhere that does something similar, but I doubt that it looks as good as this will look. So
I believe there is another game where you play as an actual cat called something horticulture.
Strange Horticulture,
something like that. Did you play that, Laura? Is that?
Well, I know it's definitely called Strange Horticulture.
Okay,
yeah, I've got it.
Is that the game that I'm talking about?
Well, you do have a. I don't think you play a cat. You play as a person.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, I'm not sure if there's any other game where you play as an actual cat in a.
It's gotta be. Someone can think of it something for sure.
But if anyone in the chat or listening, let us know. Get back in touch with us, please, and let us know if we're wrong, because I'm sure maybe we might be sometimes. Hopefully not often. But yeah, that game is called Stray, and it will be released on consoles and PC as well. And hopefully one of us will get to review it. And yeah, so that's all. Now there's I'm sure other games that have been announced, but we have a few games to review as well. So any other news that stood out to you guys, or shall we?
Well, perhaps you can mention our Patreons.
Right, yeah, that is news. So if anybody wants to support us and to support independent games and adventure games as well, you can support us on our Patreon if you so wish. What you will do is you will usually get these episodes, at least the audio version, before they go out in public. You'll also get extra episodes. So I've done some spoiler interviews with some other developers, Agustin Cortez, and including did a long spoiler chat with Mark Darren, who's the lead developer of The Walking Dead Season 1 and Season 4, which we'll be talking about later. Non-spoiler for the most part, I imagine. But if you want to hear spoilers about that and other games, also interviews that we did at Adventure X, and hopefully interviews that we'll be doing this coming November, you can do that as well. So it's patreon.com/Adventure Games Podcast. And thank you to all of the current supporters and all current subscribers of Patreon. And Laura, you've assured me that that the money does not go to our secret offshore bank account.
Definitely doesn't. Other things do, but that doesn't.
Oh, okay. So Patreon doesn't, but no. other things we do. Okay. So yeah, so that's patreon.com. Now, if you're not able to support Patreon, that's also fine. We won't take you too much. What you can do if you wanted to help is you can leave reviews on Apple Podcasts or anywhere else you can leave reviews. That would also really, really help get the word out, and share the links as well, and just help get the word out about this podcast as well. That would really help. And yes, Kieran says back into Patreon is well worth it. Thank you, Kieran. And so yeah, now before we get to this, Kieran also mentioned about Simon the Sorcerer. He said sometimes these reboots can surprise. I wasn't really a fan of the old Leisure Suit Larry. But the newest ones really impressed me. Even though I don't really like the old STS, maybe the new one will fix the issues. So yeah, that is also a good point. Maybe this one might be better than the new Simon the Sorcerer. We shall see. Okay, so
let's get to reviews.
So, hang on a second. Is someone trying to join our chat? Oh, it's Uncle Marcus. He's on mute. He just told me that someone has pressed mute, not him. So, Laura, can you please tell us who pressed mute on Uncle Marcus?
Ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-ling.
Oh, Jesus. Took a bit for
you
that
prepared
one.
that.
Yeah, we got there in the end.
Oh, you prepared that one, didn't you? Bless you. Yes. I'm sure she hasn't gone mad. There is a game.
Well, that's debatable, but
it's debatable, yeah, to be fair. It's a game called Who Pressed Mute on Uncle Marcus.
Oh, my apologies. I think they're going to play some trailers.
Oh, right. Yeah, feel free to. Well,
cool.
Makes sense for this one because it is an FMV. So let's play the trailer. Yeah.
My apologies for interrupting, Laura, but yeah, we are still getting used to this.
No,
video
yeah, let's play it. Let's
so
get us that trailer.
Here is hopefully a trailer for Who Pressed Mute on Uncle Marcus.
Hi, Uncle Marcus.
I need your help, Abby. I need you to investigate a murder.
Who's been killed?
Me. Someone who was at the family meeting poisoned me. Find the poison, find the proof, find the killer.
Do you remember anything strange at the meeting?
Oh my God, you missed a mad one. He bought a gun.
And I heard these strange noises.
June said it was going to be the end of the road for Marcus.
Do you know anything about Bradley's poisons?
His what?
This family loved to bicker.
Love it.
The whole family hates him.
Brainless, stuck-up little moron.
I'm not stuck up.
This family has got secrets. I told her dad left me the business, and they would get my share from my cold, dead hands.
You really don't see it, do you?
He's dangerous.
Don't get sucked in.
How many spiders do you see on my hand?
Does the risk of pain excite you, Abby?
What? Niminy piminy, niminy piminy.
Who poisoned Uncle Marcus?
Everyone makes mistakes.
That's not the name of the show.
What the hell happened back there?
They're on to me.
Who?
The killer.
Things are only going to get worse.
This family gets weirder every year.
There you have it. There you have it.
Laura, for interrupting, but now please tell us what you can about Who Pressed Mute on Uncle Marcus.
Yeah, well, that kind of summed it up in a little bit, I think, but you might still have a few questions as to what's going on because as you might have heard there, it is fully voice acted because it is an FMV. Full motion video. That means it's all video clips that's pre-recorded. And this is from Wales Interactive, who basically seem to have the run of FMVs now. That's all they make, and they make some pretty good ones. This is kind of bonkers for them. I don't know where they got the idea for this, but the idea is basically, as you would have heard there, your Uncle Marcus rings you on a Zoom call. You're about to go on this big family Zoom call because it's your mum's birthday. And you're about to speak to them. Uncle Marcus calls you through Zoom and goes, Abby, I've just been poisoned. Well, I've been poisoned, Abby. Someone has poisoned me. And the doctors have traced it back to this day, which is when I was at the family meeting. But Abby couldn't attend for some reason. And so I know someone in the family has poisoned me. Therefore, Abby, you have to find out who's poisoned me when you go into this family Zoom meeting. And then you'll be able to tell what the antidote is. And you'll be able to help me live, basically. So you've got to go through this family Zoom call, which is a quiz sort of format with your mum. It's very bizarre. And then you somehow work out who tried to poison him, basically. It's a sort of kind of whodunit, Cluedo type affair, but through Zoom for the modern age, I guess. But it for all its kind of silliness, and the plot is ridiculous. I mean, it constantly throughout the thing, I was like, why is he not calling the police? Why is he not calling? Like, if he's got these doctors, because he just calls you on a Zoom call from home, and you're like, what is going on? He's got an IV stand, and he gets worse. What's the funny thing is, as the family quiz progresses, you get this pop-up health bar of the uncle like going down in health and all this kind of stuff. It is quite ridiculous, but it's just good fun, is what I will say. It's very
a bit like Knives Out.
Yes, a little bit bit like that. Yeah. And it's kind of campness. I mean, the acting is quite over the top. The characters are very silly. There's, you heard a bit of them there. There's like the aunt who's very like typical alcoholic, basically. There's the sister who like is like an Instagram star and like obsessed with herself. There's the gap year brother, I think his cousin actually, who's like in the back of a truck in Africa helping starving Africans. And there's all this kind of ridiculousness. And basically what you're supposed to do is there's a couple of rounds of this quiz and you choose who you get paired up with in each round. And then you've got to take your moment to sort of talk to people about what happened at the family meeting. And if you sort of say the right things, and like with most FMVs, you've got a choice of dialogue, so you have to choose certain dialogue, and if you say the right things, you might uncover a bit of evidence. And if you get a certain amount of evidence for a certain character, then at the end you can sort of accuse them. Basically, you've got to have a certain amount of evidence. It's normally about 3 or 4 bits of different evidence that you'll have garnered throughout the whole thing, and then you can accuse them. Then there'll be a cutscene where you'll see whether it's actually that person. I mean, often she seems to just go on the fact she accuses them and they'll say, yes, it was me, or no, it wasn't. So you're a bit like, okay. But yeah, what I will say is it's a really interesting idea. If you go with it, it's quite good fun, but you have to play it quite a few times because it's very difficult to get like the right person, the evidence for the right person in the first go. And you'll probably want to see the different endings anyway. But to do that, you've got to go all the way back again. You can skip some scenes, but some scenes, for some reason, even though they feel like the exact same scene that you've seen, it doesn't feel like anything has changed. You can't skip. So sometimes you're watching that scene like 3 or 4 times. It's like, oh God, it's this again. And, I just feel they could have just made it a little bit easier to skip some things just so you can still enjoy it and still obviously not skip the things you haven't seen. But it's just a little bit too much of that. And it was also quite hard sometimes to get the evidence and remember who you've spoken to before. I had to end up writing it all down because I was thinking, have I spoken to this person in this round? Or have I asked this question? Like, there's a lot to remember. It's about an hour and a half of a playthrough. So it's quite a lot to be like, did I write this down? Did I ask this person this? And then if you've got it wrong and you don't get enough evidence at the end, you can't accuse anyone. You've got to go play through the whole thing again. So that was it's a mixed bag. I really liked the first 1 or 2 playthroughs. And then it got to the point where I was like, I just want to get to the bits now, the endings, put the work in. But yeah, that was my only issue. But good fun still. I mean, the very high production values with Wales Interactive. They just know what they're doing with these things now. Characters are good fun. I just don't get why they don't let you skip some of these scenes. They've done this before as well.
Yeah.
And
I don't understand.
It kind of needs a bit of polishing, you'd say.
Yes, I think so. I think it just needs some thought of the person playing it, that they don't want to just go through all of this constantly when they've seen it before. And just this idea that if you could play through the whole game through, you could play one playthrough, and if you don't have that enough evidence, you're going to have to do it again and again. And it's just a bit like, okay, that gets quite tiring. And it's a shame because I really, in the end, I looked up the last ending because it was getting so hard to find that final bit of evidence. I looked it up on YouTube, but I still would recommend it. It's good fun, and the idea is kind of bonkers. It's just a shame about those little bits, I think.
Yeah, no, I'm not someone who likes or generally replays games because there are so many games to play anyway.
Yeah, but it's part of the
exactly,
part of genre. You have to replay it.
I don't mind when they do it properly, where you can just skip the scenes you've already played.
Because it's complex, you could do that.
Yeah, it seemed to be a weird mix of some of it recognized you played it before, and then others, like there were definite set scenes where it was like, well, I've seen this before. Why am I still having to watch? And it could be a minute or 2 of dialogue, and it's like, oh, okay, I've got to sit and watch this again.
And it doesn't sound like a lot, but if you have to listen to the same minute or 2 of dialogue again and again, it does become a lot. So yeah,
well, I have something to say about that as well when we go to my.
Oh, okay,
yeah. But that's all I would say. I still, the thing is, I don't mind replaying FMVs because they're only normally about an hour long, an hour and a half.
Even
like
shorter,
Late Shift, I played about 2 or 3 times because I really enjoyed the game. It was you could skip it properly. And you saw different things, and it was good fun, and it was only about an hour. But it's just when you're having to replay it all the time, I'm replaying myself now. I'm just saying the same thing over and over. But yeah, that's it. I mean, still play it. It's on loads of stuff. It's on Android, iOS, PC, PlayStation, Xbox, Switch. So there's on loads of things. So if you like Wales interactive stuff, you should probably still play this. It is still good fun.
Yeah, would you say it's as good or as the Complex or with the 5 dates or no? Okay, because I really enjoy those. But yeah,
it's still up. It's better than Bloodshaw.
Okay.
You could start ranking Wales interactive games, couldn't you? I think the
maybe
Complex
we should do that in the future.
Yeah, the Complex is very high up there. Late Shift, which I think was also Wales interactive, is probably my favorite. That was the
okay. I still have to play that.
5 Dates is very good as a kind of lighter game because Late Shift was very dramatic, but 5 Dates was probably the best kind of comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Complex, and then Bloodshaw. It's a similar that when I started to replay it, I was like, I've seen this exact scene before, and I don't really want to go through it again. But I like the concept, I like the idea, and I have Who Pressed Mute on Uncle Marcus in my Steam library, so I'll hopefully get a chance to play it at some point.
That's what you say of every game.
I know. Listen, there's a lot of games out there.
Kieran has a remark here. He says Wales Interactive seem to churn out like 3 games a year, some great, some rougher. I wonder if they could benefit from slowing down for a bit more quality control.
Yeah, it's a fair point. It's a fair point. I mean, they filmed this during lockdown in London, simultaneously in London and Los Angeles. And I do wonder how some of their content, it has been shaped by the pandemic and having to do a lot of things remotely. So it kind of makes sense. This is all about Zoom calls because that's kind of, I mean, obviously.
The first thing I thought when I saw the trailers, like, oh yeah.
Zoom quiz.
Same with 5 Dates, how they film 5 Dates. Yeah.
It's smart. It's smart to do it.
Oh, yeah, Dave.
Oh, what I will say is it's not Zoom call quality. It's obviously with proper lighting.
It's better.
Yeah, it's much better.
As people can see with this.
Yeah. But there you go, anyway.
Cool. Well, thank you, Laura. So that is Who Pressed Mute on Uncle Marcus, although you might have to replay it a few times to find out who actually did press mute on Uncle Marcus. Uncle Marcus has left now, so we can continue. So thank you, Laura. Well, I also played a game called Skabma Snowfall. I interviewed the developers a few months ago or last year. And first of all, I will play a trailer. Now, for those of you listening, this game was made in the original Sami language. Sami are indigenous people. I believe they're the northernmost indigenous people in Europe. This game is based in Finland. There are Sami people in Norway as well. So this is going to be in Sami. You're going to hear the beautiful music and the Sami language. And of course, for those of you watching, you can see the game as well. So again, hopefully you can see a trailer very, very shortly. And then I will talk about the game. So please enjoy.
It says it's been a lifetime. Shall I talk? Explain if people want to. It's about time we hear it once more. They're talking about a drum beat.
Thank you, Laura.
That'll be the audio description.
I like the music already.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. That's the main character.
Is there anything I can do? Cure him. I like those boots he's got on.
You'll need them.
Yes.
Getting some Celtic vibes here as well.
A little bit, yes.
That looks like a Celtic drum, Seoirse. What are they called again?
It does actually.
No idea, I think.
I'm also getting some ropey vibes.
Yes.
What are they made?
Can't cure anything. Oh, no.
Get back what was
Get
lost.
back what was lost. Well, now, let's not do anything rash. They are not dead yet.
Red Stage
Who's not dead
Entertainment.
yet?
Ooh, we'll have to find out. So that was a trailer for Skabma Snowfall. Thank you to Laura and Thomas for providing the narration. For those of you listening. And yeah, you mentioned, Laura, that it's you got some Roki vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely very similar. Now, again, if you saw the trailer, you'd probably tell this is not actually a traditional adventure game. There are action and platforming elements to it, which I did find quite hard, but I'm going to talk a little bit more about them now. So you play as a young boy called... again, first of all, sincere apologies for my pronunciation. It's going to be very bad. But you play as Ailu, who is a young Sami, and he's a reindeer herder. And in the very first scene, reindeer who supposed to be looking after escapes, and you have to go and find it and bring it back. Now, something happens. I don't want to give any spoilers, but you end up with one of the horns of the reindeer and one of the drums, which is part of the Sami culture. And Thomas, you asked what it was called, and I believe it's called
something.
Yeah, there's a word for it. I believe it's a guavdis. Okay. Again, my apologies for the pronunciation. The thing about this game is that, as I mentioned, Sami are an actual culture and actual indigenous people, and this game was made by actual Sami people who I did interview a few months ago. So everything is very authentic. And first of all, as you probably saw from the trailer, it looks fantastic. It looks beautiful. It looks really stunning. I don't think it's quite a AAA title, but it's definitely up there, and it's made by an independent. Yes.
Yeah. Does this take place in Lapland?
A version, definitely Finland.
Yeah, because Lapland is Finland's northernmost region.
So I imagine
think
so.
that is the homeland of the indigenous Sami people. Yeah, so it's in Lapland.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
All I know is it's in Finland, the northernmost part of Finland. This is in the 1800s, I believe.
Okay.
And so you come across this drum and this reindeer antler, and you hit the drum, and then this spirit appears, and she tells you that this sickness is spreading around the land, and your family are getting sick, and you need to cure it. So you need to unite the different familiar spirits. There are 4 of them. And when you unite them together with the drum, then you can go and hopefully cure the illness and fight back against whatever is causing this. So again, very similar to Roki, which was similar. I think it's a coincidence. So it looks beautiful. It sounds beautiful. It is in the original Sami language. There are subtitles in the game. You heard some of the music as well, some of the chanting. And again, it's absolute. I wish I don't know if there is a soundtrack. I wish there was a soundtrack, if there are any, because I would listen to this music all day.
And it's all kind of sort of 3D as well, isn't it? It's it
is in 3D, person. But it looks so. It is more of an action platformer game. So it looks beautiful. The acting I think is good. I think they definitely sound authentic. I don't know. They sounded now also like Roki. They only speak really in cutscenes. So during the gameplay, you can speak to them during the game and gameplay as well, but they kind of only give like little grunts, again, like in Roki. But in cutscenes, you do hear them speaking Sami, and it is really fascinating. Now, in terms of first of all, the story. Now, I was fascinated by the culture. I did find the story interesting. That said, it did take me a bit of some time to really get invested. And I think if we're going to compare it to Roki, I was more emotionally invested in the characters in Roki. I think it would have helped if from the beginning, maybe if we had a scene, again, this is just my personal opinion, but if we had a scene maybe with his parents, because we just dropped in that you're with this reindeer to find a reindeer. And now it did get emotionally invested towards the end of the game, but it did take me a bit. But overall, it's still well written. You do find out about Sami, and it is very authentic. With regard to gameplay, again, it is an action platform game. And I think there's more about me. I'm not very good at action platform games. I died a lot.
I played It Takes Two with you. I know all about.
You know how bad I am.
Did you ever finish that?
No,
we still haven't finished it. No,
it's never. Look, we'll call it quits. It's not going to get finished now.
I still have it installed.
No.
But yeah, with this game, with Skabma Snowfall, I died a lot in this game. So now the thing is, I don't think it's for anybody who is more experienced at playing these action platform games. I don't think they might have that much difficulty, because it was mainly me that when you have to use the elements, you have to use air to try and go. It took me up until the very end to really figure it out. But then when I was watching walkthroughs and people were figuring out, they knew pretty much from the videos how to do it, and they would get to jump positions first time. And then with the action, you have these people called bleeders, who are kind of like zombies, I imagine, from the illness. And you have to use the drum to use the spirits again to kind of get them away from you. You can't kill them. You just kind of stop them for a little bit. And it does get quite stressful. There are times when you're trying to jump with precision jumping, the bleeders are after you, and in one moment the Northern Lights, they can also attack you. So if you,
lights can attack you?
Yeah,
okay.
it makes some sense in the game. So if you are, so they don't like noise and they don't like magic being used, but then to escape from the bleeders, you might have to use some magic. So you have to kind of decide. But so feels like everybody's after you. Then there are a couple of chase scenes as well towards the end, which is very dramatic and quite well done. I did have some issues with the camera, but again, that could be mainly me. Now, I didn't get past the final boss. No matter what I did, I could not get past him. So I just watched afterwards on YouTube, which was just a few minutes. So I got practically up to the end. So again, if you are used to playing some action platform games or have platform action elements, you don't mind that. Also, I have to say as well, with the navigation towards the beginning, I did get lost a bit. There is no map that I found in the game, and the developers have said that was intentional because they wanted you to feel like a Sammy, where you have to navigate using the landmarks and everything. Now, you can use the drum, and that will show you footsteps, so that will help you a little bit, and that was a huge help. But I still kind of got lost towards the beginning because more open-ended, open world. Towards the end, it is a little bit more linear, which I was very grateful for. But yeah, I did die a lot. So look, but I said it looks beautiful. I think it's a very, very well made game. It's a testament to the game, though, that even though I died a lot, I still played up until the very end, up until the last boss, because I didn't want to quit. I wanted to know what has happened. I did become more emotionally invested in the character and in the family. So I think there could be some improvements. I mean, again, personally, I would have liked maybe an easy mode to help people like me who are bad at this. But then again, this is not really criticism of the game, because this is what the game is. It's an action platform adventure. But just for people to be aware
that the game adjusts to your difficulty. Like if it senses that you fail too much at a certain point, that it somehow becomes easier or something. But it's probably very hard to.
It's hard to do. What they do that I liked is that when you die and actually the checkpoints are quite good. You can save anywhere, but then I think you still can get some checkpoints. You still have to play a little bit, but then when you die, the checkpoints are quite good. So it's usually the ledge where you jumped, where you fell off and died. But yeah, it looks beautiful. It's about a culture that I had no idea about. I learned about the culture, and I would love to go to Finland and Norway to speak, and I did for the interview, but I'd love to find out more about this culture. And I think this game really would help. I would have liked an encyclopedia on the game to help you with the terms or with the culture. But yeah, so I would recommend this, but again, just beware that there are platform elements, there are action elements that a lot of people might not find difficult. But if you're like me, not good at these types of games, I did. And also with the ending, there is a resolution, but then there's also a bit of a cliffhanger. So they're kind of leading into a second game, which may or may not happen. I mean, I would like to see more games, but I'm not a big fan of cliffhangers, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
And also I didn't really understand everything that happened, but it still was worth it. I'm still glad I played it. I still learned a lot, and I still enjoyed it overall. And that is Skabma Snowfall, which is available on consoles. I think it's available on consoles. Oh, I'm not sure. Well, it's available on PC for Steam and Epic. Anyway, so that is Skabma Snowfall. It's not a traditional adventure game, but if you want to try something different, you don't mind platforming and action element, and if you're okay with navigation without a map, I would encourage people to check it out. And see, now there's not a lot of Snowfall in the game. It's called Skabma Snowfall, but
kept all the Snowfall in the name.
But I still enjoyed it. But yeah, so that is Skabma Snowfall. So, don't know if there's anything else you guys want to know about that, or?
I think you covered it well there, Seoirse.
Thank you. So then, Laura, so you've been playing a new adventure game that I've been wanting to play, Crowns and Pawns.
Yeah.
Yes, trailer. I need to keep reminding myself that we have trailers now. So
yes, Crowns and Pawns: Kingdom of Deceit is the full
thank
title.
you, which has just been released, I believe. So before we get to review, here is a trailer for Crowns and Pawns.
Everything's packed. Don't forget your camera. Right. How else will everyone know that I'm a total tourist?
Milda! Hey! Welcome to Lithuania! Hey, come on up!
Dude, you won't believe what happened today.
What happened?
Someone broke into my grandpa's house.
Someone broke into his house? Is he okay?
No, he's dead.
Wait, what?
No, I mean, he passed away before all this. I came here to sell his house. In the house, Grandpa left me a bunch of weird documents, but I've no idea what they mean. Hello?
Hand over what I'm asking for, and we will be done with it. And remember, I don't take no for an answer.
Do you take screw you for an answer? 'Cause it's all you're getting.
Perhaps we should give these papers to the proper authorities.
I prefer hanging on to these for a little while. I learned that Project Kostche was a KGB project dedicated to finding artifacts with special powers.
Special powers? Like magic?
Hey, I'm just saying what I found out.
So, what's the plan?
I'll just improvise. The old town of Vilnius. Worth the visit.
There you go. Crowns and Pawns.
Yeah, so that's
nice.
No, it looks really nice. And getting some kind of broken sword.
Yeah.
It was a big inspiration for them, right?
Big inspiration for them, and sorry, the some of the people behind it did make the fan-made Broken Sword game. So that is probably why you would get Broken Sword
2.5. Yes.
So some of them made that. The developer's called Tag of Joy. But yeah, so if you do get Broken Sword vibes, that's probably why. But it is a kind of European mystery adventure. It's set mainly in Lithuania. You play Milda, who you heard there, who is actually based in America. She gets this kind of strange letter from her granddad. Her granddad has died, and before that happened, he sent her this letter saying she basically got a will from him saying he's left her his house in Lithuania. So she travels to Lithuania to find the house. It's been broken into when she gets there, and she discovers a lot of these weird clues sort of pointing her to this sort of historical going on. I don't want to spoil too much more of the kind of plot, but much like with Broken Sword, there are these kind of questionable historical groups and these kind of treasures and keys and stuff that you have to basically travel across Europe. You visit Belarus, you visit Italy, as well as Lithuania, and you have to go to various churches and buildings and different places around there in your quest to uncover more about what's happened to your family, why has your granddad left you these clues about these things. Without giving too much away, it's about this kind of historical king you're trying to find out a bit more about and kind of uncover his secrets. But I don't want to that's kind of part of the fun of the game is all the mystery of it. But yeah, it's a beautiful looking game, really lovely looking game. It is basically, you would think it's 3D it's in the third person. It's point and click. That's how you move about. So it's very traditional in that sense. Your character is 3D. I was told by the developers when I was streaming this that it's actually the way they've done it is 2D but on a 3D mesh. So it's got that kind of depth perception, but it is still kind of 2D in a way, but you can obviously move up and down. It's not side scrolling, but some of the artwork is just fun, like the shading, the shadows. There's a point where you go into this huge church and it's brightly lit up and all these different colors. It just looks fantastic. They've done such a good job on the artwork in this game. The good thing about it is it's not just pretty to look at. It is actually really good fun as well. You heard the voice acting in that, and I think they've done a really good job with all the voice acting. And it's great to see another voice acted adventure game because it always just adds a lot more. I think obviously it's, there's nothing wrong with text-based adventure games. Those are the classics, but you just appreciate how much work has gone into it when people do that. And the story itself, I'll be honest, at points I got a bit confused with what was going on because there's a lot to take in. There's a lot of historical names and places and different treasures and things you have to find along the way. I kind of do get what happened, but I was more just there for the adventure, really. And like I said, you visit all these different locations. It's kind of your general puzzle thing where you have to, you combine items. There are some little logic puzzles. There's a really fun sequence. There's a lot of good in jokes that as an adventure fan you'll get, but that aren't too meta. There's a bit of a puzzle with a goat, which, if you like Broken Sword, you'll be like, oh, okay. But I don't think they go overboard with it. I think the humor is just in the right place.
Find the balance there.
Yeah, there's a good balance. It's not too meta. So I enjoyed that. The goat puzzle is really good fun. And there's a fun sequence when you travel to Belarus for a hockey match and you've got to honk a horn in the right tone. There's different tones of this horn that you've got to honk to get the fans cheered, geared up so that they shout for your team. And that was a fun little puzzle that you've got to work out. So I thought they'd some really fun puzzles. Most of it's quite intuitive. There were little bits where you've got to keep referring to this manuscript and piece stuff together where I got a bit confused, but most of it, I kind of got what I was doing. And I think it was a good balance of some puzzles that, it wasn't plain sailing. I would say there were some bits that were tricky, but I kind of like that in an adventure game. I don't want it to all be really easy. So for me, that was fine. There's even some little action sequences. If you watch the trailer, you see they were on a scooter and there's a bit where you've got to control that and stop these thugs. So yeah, I just think it's just paced really well. Really, really good fun game. I think they've really smashed it. They've done such a good job with it. And I think it's about the right length as well. I think it took me something like maybe 8 hours, maybe a little bit more, actually. Let me just have a look. Okay. Yeah, actually a bit more. So it's about 11 hours, but then I was streaming it, so I might have paused it and that kind of stuff. So about 10 hours, I would say it probably take most people. Yeah, really, really good. Definitely recommend it.
Fantastic. I'm delighted to hear because this is a game I've been following and again, I know I say this all the time, but I think
I've been following this since Adventure X.
Yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it? But I'm glad that, they clearly put the effort in. So it was good.
Yeah, and I'm delighted that it's been released and it's been getting generally good reviews as well, that they seem to get adventure games and as you mentioned, Broken Sword vibes as well, but sounds like they're not trying to be Broken Sword, but it's just similar, that you're inspired by it, which is good. But yeah, I love these kind of stories. I love these kind of games as well. It looks beautiful and I'm delighted to see. So I hope to be able to play it again in the future. I am slowly but surely getting through the games.
And it's one thing I'll say as well, it's got you can manually save.
Oh, lovely.
And there is a hotspot highlighter as well.
And then quick move, clicking on the edge of the... Can you move quickly?
Yes. You can if you double click.
Game of the year, Seoirse. Game of the year.
There you go. Well, it might be on mine at the moment. I really enjoyed it.
If my PC hadn't broken down, I probably would have played it already.
That's a good point.
I've been really looking forward to this one.
No, that's great. Well, delighted to hear. What's the name? The full title: Crowns and
Pawns, Kingdom of Deceit.
And I love how we have these developers from different countries and how they're making games set in their countries.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is great because we had Gilbert, which was set in Transylvania, Romania, which is where developers are from. The Hand of Glory was set in Italy, which is where developers are from. And now this
Dark Side Detective set in Ireland.
Yes, part set in Ireland, in Galway.
Yeah.
And now this game Crown of Pawn set in Lithuania. So more of that, please. I want more of these locations that we might not know too much about.
I was thinking about that when you were reviewing the previous game. It's like I love
Finland, yes.
Yeah, I love getting introduced to all these new cultures and new locations, and not having the same boring quote unquote locations like in America or the UK or
London again.
London again.
When is it ever in London? It's never in London.
Sometimes. I'm kidding. Yeah, New York or this generic fantasy land. It's
generic American town. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always America.
We have nothing against America for people listening and watching, but it is great to see more diverse and different locations. But But yeah, so that is Crown and Pawn's Kingdom of Deceit. So thank you.
It's on Epic, GOG, and Steam.
Perfect. Thank you, Laura. Now I don't know, Laura, if you will have to head soon because we still have one more game.
If you see me, if I head off, it's just I've unfortunately got some life admin I have to deal with, but I'll hang on for a little bit. But if I drop out, that's why.
It's not that you hate us more than normal.
No, hey, I don't hate you at all.
That you find us more tiring than normal. No, kidding. Yeah, no, we do understand that life sometimes gets in the way. But
it's not even that exciting. But yeah, there you go.
Yes, but
well, you never know what happens in a
long adventure. You can make an adventure game.
I saw Everything Everywhere All at Once yesterday, which is an absolute masterpiece. Which in laundromat plays a very important role in it.
There you go. Who knows?
Well, Laura, in case you do have to go, is there anything that you'll be playing next? Do you know, or anything you want to mention?
Probably Voodoo Detective.
Oh, yes, I want to play that as well. Looking
the one comes out tomorrow, I think.
Today.
It's out today.
Today.
Yeah, the day
at the time we're recording. It's the 24th. Perfect. Look forward to that.
I need a new PC.
Well, Thomas. Sorry.
By the way, have you continued with Chinatown Detective Agency?
No. See, I need to. I need to get that done before. I move on to other stuff. But yes.
With all these games coming out.
Yeah, well, I haven't been able to finish that one either because of my damn PC. So.
Were you able to start it?
I played the first the same thing that you can play as a demo, and after that I played a wee bit more. Then my PC crashed, and I didn't really wanted to risk anything else. So,
well, hopefully we can review that as well. Again, so many games coming out in so little time. But Thomas, I know you mentioned that your PC is dying or dead at this stage. I don't know.
On life support.
It's so at this stage, I was thinking, would Thomas ever play another adventure game again? The answer is yes. And you played, what is it? It's a comedy series of the decade, The Walking Dead.
Oh, hilarious.
Really feel good. Shall we watch a trailer? Because you played the definitive edition.
Yes.
I believe so. This is all of the games put together, all the seasons.
I played the first 4 seasons, but I have not played Michonne yet. But,
okay, and there's also another one, which is, what is this? How many days?
400 days, but I couldn't find it on the disc.
Oh, really? Because that's like a DLC. Well, anyway, shall we watch a trailer, which I believe is the definitive
I may
edition.
take my leave as this trailer goes, but I might be back in time for the end. So
yeah, maybe. So Laura may or may not be leaving, but if you do the laundry quickly, you might be back for the
I
end.
left you on a little cliffhanger there. The little things that Seoirse loves so much.
Slowly.
I'll be back in a sec.
We probably will be here because there's a lot to talk about
because
here.
They just love to talk, don't they? Right, go on, play the trailer.
Okay, so here is a trailer for The Walking Dead. Hopefully it's a definitive edition. If not, it's The Walking Dead.
Yeah, this looks
We gonna do it? We're doing it.
It's insane how emotionally invested you get in these games.
They really did a great job with this one.
Yes.
Solid work.
That was the best ending I have ever played.
Y'all are doing this justice.
Let's go!
Yeah! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Oh, Laura's gone. I think she's been eaten by a zombie. Walker. Oh, hopefully she'll be back. But yes, that was a trailer for The Walking Dead Definitive Edition, which is all 4 seasons plus DLC. Now, I don't know how you want to do this, Thomas. But I guess we'll try not to give too many spoilers for people. Certainly spoilers maybe for the final season. Well, but again, there may be some minor spoilers for anyone who has not played the Walking Dead Telltale games.
Potential spoilers because
spoilers ahead.
You might take a different path than I did. And
that is also true.
And I played all 4 in a row, and I used my previous decisions to influence the next season.
Nice.
So I kind of binged the whole 4 seasons in 3 weeks.
Nice.
And I must say it was quite a heavy
thrill,
right?
That must be some 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So Thomas, I suppose we'll start with season 1. Again, try not to give too many spoilers as best as we can, but I also want to discuss these games because I think they merit discussion. And this is also the first time you've played a game in 3 months. So
yeah, well, I finished the game actually.
And you finished it all 4
I tried
seasons.
playing a lot more. Yeah.
So set us up. So first of all, I know people might have played certainly season 1, but set us up. This is the 10-year anniversary of The Walking Dead season 1, at least. But set us up for season 1.
Yes. So The Walking Dead, the video game, Telltale's The Walking Dead, takes place in the same universe as everything else, all the Walking Dead shows. But in this case, it starts literally on the day of the zombie apocalypse. And you play as Lee, who gets in a car crash on the day of the... because he's in the back of a police car. He's being arrested. He's been sentenced to jail. A policeman is taking him to jail. They run into a zombie. The car crashes, and Lee needs to start surviving. And the first person he meets that is still alive is Clementine, which is an 8-year-old girl hiding in her treehouse. That's where everything starts, and you are now responsible for this girl, and you are teaching this girl, and you're trying to keep yourself and this girl and any other people that you come across that are friendly to you. You try to keep them alive. Now, this is probably the quintessential Telltale game, because I think this was the very first one, and they barely deviated from their formula.
Well, it's the first one like this. They had made Tales of Monkey Island, and they had made Back to the Future and Jurassic Park, but it's the first one what we probably consider modern Telltale, later Telltale. Yeah.
So that means that you can walk around a scene, and you can depending on where you are, you can interact with the scenery, and it often triggers a quick time event, and a lot of it is based on choices you make in dialogue. And the dialogue also determines what kind of character you are. You can be rude to people, you can be nice to people, you can be very aggressive, you can be very pacifist. It really all influences your journey, and it is one hell of a journey.
It is indeed.
Yeah. So the first season is based on trying to get to Savannah.
Yes, it's to find
the
Clementine's parents.
Yeah, well, you think Clementine's parents are, but also to get on a boat and to try and escape on a boat. And all kinds of heavy shit happens.
To say the least.
Yeah, because it is almost more like Game of Thrones than it's like Walking Dead when you look at how people can die, and people can also die because of your actions. You sometimes have to. There's relatively quickly a moment where you have to choose who you save. You can't save both of them. You have to choose one, and whoever you choose changes the course of the story again, because then one of those two people will no longer be around to influence anything. It's not like you can't finish the game. You can always finish the game unless you die. If you die, you start over right before where you died, but you usually die during zombie attacks. And there are quite a few, and those are, I think, the low points of the game. because you sometimes have to act. There's some kind of it's more based on reflexes often than on choices or whatever. And I'm not always the best with a controller because I played it on PlayStation. So there were certain scenes, especially in the third and fourth season, that I had to replay quite a few times.
Yes.
And, because I kept getting killed, and that was not fun. That was not fun. And sometimes the controls were not really. They improved. You can see that they were a bit clunky in the first season. They do improve a lot in later seasons because every season is a bit more advanced, even though it's the same concept of play. But this is all about the story, all about the journey, because this is Clementine's journey. And in season you play out season one. It has five episodes. Every episode they're not all the same length, but generally they're like 2.5 hours long, 2.5 hours long. And but if you have to replay certain things a lot, then it obviously becomes a bit longer. It ends at a certain point, and season 2 picks up I think about 3 years or something like that after season 1.
Yes, I think it does start pretty much immediately after season 1, and then it picks up a couple of years after, I believe.
Oh, okay, yeah. It blurs a bit together when you've played so many episodes after one another. It's almost like binging a TV show. So in season 2, you actually play as Clementine, and you are very much in charge of her decisions. But everything that she learned in season 1 is still with her. Has shaped her as the person she is becoming. And in order to survive in this horrible world, you have to get tough.
And how did you find the decision to play as Clementine? Were you happy with that decision, or would you prefer to play as an adult or another character?
No, I loved it.
Me too.
Yeah, I loved it. You give Clementine more agency. You become more. You become closer to her, even though she's like an 8 or 9 year old girl. I have never been an 8 or 9 year old girl, but it is very fun to play. Well, fun is not the right word in Walking Dead universe, but it is good to play her and to experience everything with her. And I thought you go through hell in season 2. Season 1 was quite heavy. I thought season 2 was the bleakest, especially near the end when you have to make certain decisions. And you have to take care of a baby at one point, trying to keep a baby alive, because that baby becomes very important in season 3 and 4. It is after I finished season 2, I really had to take a break for a few days because it was so bleak that I thought, okay, let's step away for a bit, refresh, and then come back next weekend and start on season 3. And season 3 takes a different approach, because in season 3 you play a new character called Javier.
A new family.
Javi, with a new family, and you experience how they went through everything. And we are I think like about 4 or 5 years further.
A couple of years, I think so.
After season 2, and you learn how they got through the first days through flashbacks, and you meet up with Clementine. Clementine is now an NPC, but there are large portions of the story where she's your companion, just in the same way as it happened in season 1.
And she's become a badass as well.
She has become one hell of a badass, yeah. Also, again, I think very much influenced by the decisions you make in season 1 and 2, by what she does. But she is one tough little cookie. And you basically, after season 3, you love her even more. Season 3 was I really liked that we got to play as someone new, because it kept it fresh, and you had to make different decisions, but your decisions again impacted Clementine's life. because of almost I think 75% of the game you play. She is in your vicinity, or she is impacted by the decisions you make as well. Now it's hard to kind of explain what is going on without getting too spoilery. But it's also it's a rough season, not as rough as season 2. I think out of the 4 seasons, season 2 was by far the bleakest.
Interesting. I find them all pretty bleak.
And then, and at the start, depending on how you end season 2, season 3, you learn something in episode 1 of season 3 that, you learn why Clementine is doing certain things in compared to season 2, and that's also quite heavy. There are a lot of flashbacks in season 3, both for Javier and his family, and for Clementine. So that's interesting too, because they fill in all 4 seasons are really shaped like a TV show, like an interactive TV show you're playing. Which is pretty cool. Now, you only play as Javi in season 3. And there are quite a few shocking events, by the way, in season 3 as well. It's not like they all of a sudden become soft. There's one moment, I think, that happens at the end of episode 1 that's really shocking. That happens to someone near Javi, and that almost made me drop my controller, not out of fear, but just out of how shocking and how sudden that was. But it is complete in the whole atmosphere of The Walking Dead. I mean, people die all the time. You have no idea, you have no clue who will reach the end of the season.
It's like the TV series and the comics as well, that just about anybody could die.
Yeah, but in the TV series, sometimes you have the idea that certain characters have plot armor.
That is true. Yeah.
I think the game has that a lot less. Well, except for Clementine, of course, because she's the main character, so she will reach the end. Here it's the question: how is she going to reach the end of the season? And it could very well be that certain characters, when somebody else plays it, that certain characters will not make it till the end. That made it till the end with me. There's a death later on, and I think it's in episode 4 that also was quite shocking for me, that I did not expect. There's so much death in this game. It's and not all of them are walking. As is the whole thing of The Walking Dead is that the zombies are not your biggest threat. The biggest threat are the surviving humans, and every Walking Dead, whether it's the comic or the TV shows or the game, just confirms that the humans are way more deadly and way more dangerous than any zombie can be. But there are some good. It really fits into the whole thing. I would not be surprised, if I would have loved it. I don't think it happened, but I would have loved it if some characters would show up from the game that are exclusive to the game that would show up in the TV show. But I don't think that's going to happen. However, the other way around, that does happen. So you do interact with
comic book characters that were in the comics and the TV. Appear, because this is mainly based on the comic books.
On the comic books, but it's also semi-produced by Robert Kirkman. So everything is canon.
Yeah. And then in season 4 we play as Clementine again.
Yeah, season 4.
Which is older.
I think she's around 16 or 17 in
she's
season 4.
A proper teenager now.
Yeah. A bit more adult than she should be at 16, but that's the world we live in. And she is still with the AJ, which is a little kid that she meets in season 2 as a baby, and she manages to keep him alive till he is like about 6 or 7, slightly younger as she was when the Walking Dead game starts in season 1. And what I really like I think I liked season 4 the most. but there could be a bit of recency bias in there. But what I really loved about season 4 is you really are teaching AJ a lot, and he listens to your lessons and puts that into action. So, and the stupid thing is, the good thing actually, but it sometimes has stupid consequences for you, is what you teach him can sometimes result in actions that you did not foresee, but are completely logical to him or to other characters. And I thought in season 4, the consequences of your actions and choices are even more severe and clear in what is happening. Again, so much death. So many people die, and unexpectedly as well. And you try to do the right thing, but the right thing gets people killed. It's as simple as that. So you can't always do the right thing. Like, oh, I really understand now why I should do this, and then you get punished for doing the right thing. That happens so often in this world, and that is completely in line with everything else from The Walking Dead. It is, but I made it to the end. It is. It is a great end. Someone was cutting onions in my building because all of a sudden I got all these tears in my eyes.
Ah, yes.
No, I got really emotional.
Yeah, no, I did.
At one point near the end.
I was a blubbering mess in season 4 in particular.
Yeah.
At the end, like I was just so emotional. I can imagine if you played all 4 seasons, very in a short amount of time apart, if you binge played them, then I can imagine how emotionally invested you will have become.
Absolutely.
But yeah, what I would love to do, if you're free, Thomas, is sometime to do maybe a spoiler discussion on Patreon.
Yeah, I think that would be a fun idea.
I think that would be fun, because I know we're trying to avoid spoiler, but I think this is a game that deserves a spoiler discussion. But I think we can do that for Patreon. So hey, if you want to hear us discuss this in spoiler, we will attempt to do this at some point in the near future. But yeah, for now, we'll try and keep it as spoiler free as possible. So yeah, that was a recap of all 4 seasons that Thomas played. And I want to, because I love this game. I love all seasons, like yourself. Seasons 1 and 4 were my favorites, but I loved all seasons.
1 and 4 were were the most emotional ones when it comes to Clementine, because in both seasons there was like near the end of season 1 and a few points near season 4 that you really feel the emotional connection to Clementine. And I thought there were a lot of similarities with the Last of Us.
Yes.
So, whereas something similar happens, although there's even more death in The Last of Us. But it's these games really are all about the story, because the gameplay. I have some issues with the gameplay.
Yeah.
There was some. It does autosave.
Yeah, that's another. You can't save manually.
No, but that makes sense, because otherwise you could constantly change your.
That is true. Yeah.
So for these games, that makes sense. However, what I do find annoying as hell, and there was one particular moment in season 4, is that there are several times in every season and every episode where you have to fight zombies. And which means that you walk around, you have to press a circle to tackle them, and then you press triangle to kill them, something like that. However, if you are not quick enough, then you die and you have to start over. Now, first of all, I had several times where I was pressing the right button, but it didn't register or something, which was annoying as hell. Sorry. But the one thing that annoyed me the most was there was a very difficult sequence in season 4. I think it was episode 3, where every time I died, it returned to the last point saved, but it took almost a minute and a half to get to the point where I could start with the zombies again. And I replayed that, I think 8 or 9 times, and that became so annoying, because I don't need to just put me at the start of where I have to start killing zombies, and don't let me go through all these scenes again before I get there. that feels like a waste of time because I wasted almost 15 minutes in total just waiting for the things that I already seen before I could start killing zombies again. So that annoyed me.
Yeah, I
It also
agree.
annoyed me because I couldn't kill the zombies fast enough.
Yeah, I think that's compared to Skabma Snowfall. That's one thing that Skabma Snowfall did very well. That as frustrating as I found it at times, when you died, usually you didn't have to replay a lot. It was right back where you died. Whereas The Walking Dead at times, and I do agree that some of the QuickTime events were very hard, were very difficult. And I remember I was pushing the buttons, but it wasn't quick enough as well. And it did become frustrating as well. Now, and I know that there are people who had criticisms as well. Some people don't consider these as adventure games. They consider them more interactive movies. Now, some people, when they say that, they kind of dismiss the games like that. But I wanted to know your opinion after having these refresh in your memory and in your mind. Would you consider the later Telltale games as adventure games? Would you put them in the same genre?
100%.
Okay.
They all fall under the quite large umbrella that nowadays is adventure games. They're just a specific subgenre of adventure games.
I agree. Yeah.
But especially season one. Season one has more point and click moments in it, where you have to find a certain thing or fix a certain problem. Later seasons have less of that. That's I think it's sort of a miss, because later seasons really depend more on dialogue and the occasional arcade sequence where you have to shoot zombies.
Yeah, there seems to be more puzzles. I mean, easy puzzles, but in season one, I remember playing as Lee, you have to get through a car park to get to a girl who's stuck in a room, try and save her. And there are other things when you're at the pharmacy and you have to try and get around the zombies, the walkers. And I like that. And I do agree. I wish there had been more of that in later seasons. I also have to mention the season 4. Did I already mention this? I don't know if we mentioned this recording, that they were halfway through the development when Telltale basically collapsed. And it was only thanks to Skybound, who were the publishers of the comics, that they somehow managed to get some of the team together, and they managed to finish the game that way, the last 2 episodes. So I think that might have had an effect, but I think it's a minor miracle that the game was finished, but that it became as good as it was, considering the circumstances towards the end. I don't know if you noticed any dip in quality in season 4, Thomas, or
no? I only noticed that season 4 only has 4 episodes instead of 5. I was expecting 5. I got 4. I wasn't mad about that. I'm very, very happy that they got to finish the story, and actually they could have gone on with the season 5 where you play a different character, and you and I both know which character that would be. So you can. There could be spin-offs. I mean, there is a spin-off, sort of, because you still have the Michonne,
which is based on the comics. Yeah,
that's the one. That's the one I still need to play.
And the 400 days.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what that is, because could that be the 6th episode of season 1?
It's set. Yes, it's set between season 1 and season 2. And the cool thing about that is that decisions you make on that kind of have an effect on season 2 as well.
I didn't know that. Because I didn't play that. I thought. I
mean, it's not necessary. It's not essential. But I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed 400 Days.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to play that as well for the spoiler special then. But it won't affect season 2, 3, or 4 for me anymore.
Yeah, and then you mentioned about the choices, because I know this is another discussion that people have. That you said the choices affected the game and the story. Some people would disagree. Some people now said that the choices in these Telltale games don't really matter, because the ending would probably be the same or similar. So they felt that the choices didn't ultimately matter. Did you find that, or what did you think?
I found that they definitely mattered, especially in season 4. I can vividly remember one moment where I had to make a choice regarding another character, and then the next episode, that choice came back to haunt me, because of that choice, one character died and another character lived. And it was not the character that I wanted to die, that I wanted to have die. That well, if I had chosen differently, that other character would have lived, and that would have influenced the ending as well.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I agree. I mean, even though the ending, well, yeah, it would have influenced the ending, but yeah, I think even to decide what kind of character you want your character to be. So Lee in season 1, you can have him be very gruff, very rough, kind of rude to the characters. You can have him be a nicer person, or you can have him not talk a lot, because not answering, not responding is also an option.
Yeah, most of the time,
yeah.
Sometimes I was not. I was distracted. For instance, I would get a drink, take a sip, or get a crisp, and then take my eyes off the screen, and all of a sudden I had to make a decision. And
that is very quick. So yeah, no, it's definitely. I mean, Clementine for me is one of my favorite characters. It's not my favorite character of all time. I mean, as you mentioned, you really get emotionally invested in her, and Lee as well. I really liked.
Yeah, because Lee, you see Lee in some flashbacks as well in the later seasons. So I think Clementine is one of the best adventure game characters created.
Yeah, I would agree, and I think I just love I think the writing in the games is better than the TV series, any of the TV series that I've seen. And at some point, I think it's better than the comics. As much as I love the comics, and I do like the TV series, but I kind of I'm laughing as I watch the TV series at how ridiculous it is. So, but with the game, I was really emotionally invested in all of the seasons. I think definitely story-wise, The Walking Dead is a high point for Telltale. Now, you can also argue that it could be a low point because Telltale then decided to make every game that they made, at least gameplay-wise, which contributed, not the only reason, but contributed to their demise, that they stopped kind of innovating gameplay-wise, really, which was an issue.
I've played many Telltale games, and I must say that for me, The Wolf Among Us was for me one of the best adventure game experiences I've ever had. I've played the first two episodes of Game of Thrones, which I thought also was very, very good.
Oh, they're brilliant, yeah.
So in that way, I don't think, but there is a point where you said that you make that they stopped innovating, and I think that is true.
To a point.
And they probably relied too much on.
Because they found a really good thing with The Walking Dead that with this type of gameplay, so they stuck to it. So I played also Guardians of the Galaxy, and I enjoyed these games. I thought all of these were good games and very well written. But I just wish that they had innovated more like they did previously. I mean, Jurassic Park, it mightn't have ended up being a great game, but you could tell it was something different, and they're trying to innovate, trying to do something differently. And I think this approach with The Walking Dead, it worked maybe because you're trying to survive. But for example, Wolf Among Us, you mentioned, which a game that I really, really love. But I think that maybe if they have more gameplay to Wolf Among Us with more detective approach, which is slightly different to The Walking Dead, I would have liked. And Guardians of the Galaxy again might have been a bit different. But yeah, no, I mean, sticking with The Walking Dead, I think all 4 seasons, and season 4 they were beginning to innovate a little bit. I found that with some of the things that you had to do as well. So it is a shame that Telltale, now they're back, so we'll see what they do with the
we're getting The Expanse.
Yeah, The Expanse and The Wolf Among Us season 2.
And those are must plays for me.
So yeah.
Especially since I've now read all 10 books of The Expanse.
I need to read that as well. So, but yeah. So hopefully, Thomas, maybe in the near future we could do a spoiler for our Patreon where we can really go into our decisions and how that affected the game and the story. If I can remember my decisions, but we can see what we do, and I'll try and get one of the developers again, Mark Darren, maybe if he's available. Can't guarantee that, but it would be nice.
Yeah.
Certainly the 2 of us at least. Maybe Laura, I don't know if she's played all 4 seasons, but yeah, is there anything? So you definitely recommend the games? Definitely.
Oh, absolutely. If you're into The Walking Dead, then you need to play this. It's as simple as that. This is a fantastic addition to the whole mythos of the whole world of The Walking Dead, and it is very well written. It looks fantastic. The graphics really improve as well, because obviously those are things that improve over later seasons, and you'll meet some great new characters, and you'll cry when they die.
Yeah.
If they die, and sometimes you're to blame for their deaths. So.
And sometimes they'll surprise you. They'll turn on you. And also that scene with the dog, really. Oh wow! I dropped the controller, I think.
Yeah, that was one of the moments that, especially since I've been attacked by a dog myself when I was about that age. So that brought back some nasty memories.
Yeah. Oh man, and also episode 2, season 1 stands out as well for me.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that is something that is whenever that happens in movies or TV shows or games. That is something that I can.
I know it's, but no, very very well written. And yeah, I would love to have Mark Darren, who's one of the lead developers of seasons 1 and 4. So for me, the best seasons. And again, I loved all seasons, but we'll do our very very best. Is there anything else you want to mention about? I know we've been the last half an hour talking about The Walking Dead, but anything else you want to mention about The Walking Dead that you haven't said?
No, I think I'm going to keep that for the spoiler special, because anything I would like to get deeper into, I would need to explain my choices and what happens.
Myself as well.
And if you haven't played it, then you really want to experience this without as little knowledge beforehand as possible.
Exactly. And also, you don't need to have watched a TV series or read the comic, because I started playing season 1 of The Walking Dead before watching the TV series, reading comics, and the game is what got me into The Walking Dead. So it is possible to play all 4 seasons. Obviously, you get maybe more out of it. There's some characters from the comics and the TV series who appear in the games, and you're like, oh, that's such a person.
It's the same if you watch a Marvel movie. If I watch a Marvel movie, I see a lot of things that make it extra fun for me, because I see a lot of Easter eggs, because I've read all those comic books. And if you haven't, you can still very much enjoy the show without it. For you, it will just be a character in the game, and for us, it will be the character. Oh, I know that one from the TV show.
Exactly. So yeah, that is The Walking Dead, the Telltale Definitive Series, which is available on PC and probably everywhere. You played it on your PlayStation?
Yes, PlayStation.
Perfect. So, well, thank you for that. Also, I liked how in The Walking Dead that you play as characters like in minority. So you play people of color and Latino people as well, which I think is really good for representation as well. So we will do our very best to come back with a spoiler discussion. I mean, that we've been a half an hour talking without spoilers, so our spoiler discussion could be like 5 hours.
Well, we did talk like an hour and a half over about a 1 minute
1 minute trailer for Return to Monkey Island. Imagine when there's a 2 minute trailer. Ooh. Or when the game itself comes out.
We'll go live again.
Absolutely. So I guess that is it for this month. Laura still hasn't returned from the laundry. So, Thomas, do you know? I know you're still waiting for your laptop and all. So, do you have any idea what you might be doing if you're playing a game, or are you waiting to get a new laptop?
I'm gonna see what else I have. Well, I'm gonna play Michonne.
You can talk about that.
And I think I have some other stuff on my PlayStation or on my Switch that I can use. And I'm hoping the Steam Deck will come in a few months.
Yeah, I hope that from July to September that I've been told Q3, because it'd be very handy. I'll be going on holidays now that we can go abroad. I've had some pre-COVID holidays now booked. So that would be nice to be able to bring that. But remember, I think I mentioned that after Skabma Snowfall, I wanted to play something a little bit less stressful. So I've decided to play Martha is Dead. And I'm sure we talk about that. Now, this is, believe it, a controversial game that there's a lot in it. So I don't really know what I'm getting myself in for. And I believe it was so controversial that the PlayStation Store asked the developer to remove parts of the game. So I mean, I will see how much of it I play, and Laura, as she mentioned, she'll be hoping to either play Chinatown Detective Agency and or Voodoo Detective.
Yeah.
And yeah, very briefly, anything else you want to mention? You mentioned Everything is Everywhere.
Yeah, I saw Everything Everywhere all at once.
Wow, that's really impressive that you managed to see Everything Everywhere all at once.
Yeah, I saw it in the cinema. It's finally in cinemas in the UK and Ireland. It's a masterpiece. Go see this movie. It is the best multiverse movie out there right now. It is completely...
and Doctor Strange has just been released.
I know, and
we're Marvel fans.
I'm a fan of that as well. But this movie is something like you've never seen before. It is completely unique. It is bonkers. It is emotional. It breaks your heart. It makes you smile. It is completely nuts, and it deserves to be watched by as many people as possible. And I might go watch it a second time because it's so good.
Cool.
Yeah, Michelle Yeoh deserves an Oscar for this.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
Cool. Well,
and besides that, I have also started reading the Heaven's Fall novels.
Yes, we can maybe discuss those next time when you finish them, because I finished reading those.
Yeah, I'm halfway book one.
Cool. Okay, I'll be curious to know what you think. We'll discuss those.
So far, I'm very positive.
That is very good. Well, also, if there were any Kermode and Simon Mayo fans, you might have noticed that they've left their show they did with the BBC, but they are back again. I think it's called Take One. Kermode and Mayo Take One. So it is slightly different. There's Take Two, but you have to pay extra to subscribe. But I like it. They are shorter. Their episodes are a bit shorter. So it mightn't be quite the same as what we're used to, but I like it. I like how they still have the banter. There's the two of them together, which I really enjoy. And I'm also watching Better Call Saul, which I'm really, really enjoying. And
so only the first season of that. This is the last season, right?
Yeah, this is season 6. Yeah, I know it. Again, it takes its time from the seasons. It's kind of like Breaking Bad, that for season 1, 2, and 3, but then it really picks up, and I'm really, really enjoying it now as well.
And are you playing Siberia 3 as well?
I finished playing Siberia 3 finally, and it wasn't as bad as people said it was. I don't think. I might talk a little bit more about that. I'll hopefully be playing Siberia 4 after Marta is dead. Oh, sorry,
Siberia. I meant Siberia 4.
I'll be hopefully playing that after Marta is dead.
Okay, cool.
But I don't know if I'll finish it in time for next episode next month, but we shall see. Because as Laura knows now tonight, real life gets in the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that is it for this episode. And Laura is back. What do you have to say, Laura? You're amazing, Seoirse, you are. You're absolutely amazing. I agree with everything you say. Thank you, Laura. Wow. That was Laura. I know. That's not like her. She's gone again. Seamless. And Thomas, anything you want to say before we finish? It's been going on a long time.
Let's keep on questing, people.
Yes, and thank you for people who join us live. So Kieran and Amy Tan, Summer B, and anyone else who joined us, Radio Silence Studios, and Keel Corwin was there as well. Yes, we will hopefully be doing a spoiler discussion of The Walking Dead. If not, our interview will be up. I believe I'll be speaking to the developers of Voodoo Detective. I don't know if I'll be doing that live yet or not, but if not, that will be going up at least in audio, hopefully next month. And the three of us will be back then as well to talk about the latest adventure games that we've been playing. So, but for now, thank you for joining us, everyone. And thank you, Thomas. And thank you, Laura, as well, if you're still listening. And we'll be back very soon. So take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.